Hi guys, how's it going? Welcome to the Football Huddle. This is week 8 that we've been doing this show. You're here with me, Sean, and
Demetrius.
talking to you about everything football from high school all the way to the pros. So you want to start off with some of the high school articles that you had to work with this week?
For me, I wrote a diamond in the rough about a linebacker, Javar Thomas. He attends Nimitz High School in Houston. Uh, Watching his film, I would say he's one of the hardest hitting linebackers you'll probably see. He's more of a once he gets downhill, it's kind of hard to stop him from
Mm-hmm.
just destroying anybody. He kind of reminds me, not to be like 49ers biased or anything, but he kind of reminds me of Dre Greenlaw, the way he just flies around the field, just smacking people and just really just no care for no human concern or anything. But sometimes as a football player, you love to see it. You love to see that. You love to have a person just that has a high motor just to go around just yeah, at least you know he's going to be there. At
Mm-hmm.
least if he did make the tackle, he's going to be around the tackle, and that's a great thing to see as for a linebacker.
Is he the Mike normally, do you know, or is he just kind of
I
all
think
around?
I think he's the outside. He's
Yeah.
probably like the Sam or the Will.
Well, anyways, I did a diamond in the rough on Isaac Blessing. He's a kid who's in a two A division for Toller High School. He plays everything. I mean, started off as a defensive back, moved to linebacker, and is now this year playing linebacker and quarterback as he was the backup quarterback throughout his entire time in college. But I mean, this guy's everywhere on the field. Just all around, like when he's on the defensive side, he's one of the biggest leader on both sides of the field. Actually, obviously a
Yeah,
captain being two of the most dominant
yeah.
positions
You
that you can
said
have.
quarterback and linebacker.
Oh
That's
yeah,
it.
when I was watching him, comparison would easily be Taysom Hill because obviously has that linebacker background for him. He's ready to
Yeah.
just run through hits because I mean, other side of the field, he's doing that to other people. So he's definitely a hard guy to take down, and he is just a monster when he runs the ball. But also he has a great spiral, and I mean the IQ that he has from both sides of the field is obviously helps him on the other side of the field. He said that playing quarterback, it's very easy to like look at defensive plays because he plays defense. He starts for the defensive side, so you can understand what the defense is trying to do to help him, you know, improve his offensive side. Just an all around. I mean, I think he gained over 15 pounds this year to help him out
Dang.
at quarterback and linebacker at around 215 right now, 6'3". I mean, he's just kind of a tank. And he said his defensive comparison was Fred Warner, also on that 49ers defense. But
One of the best linebackers out there.
yeah, so he speaks highly of himself, and his coach does too. And I mean, he's coming off a great last season, leading his team 13 wins and 1 loss. So they're doing pretty well right now, and hopefully they can keep it up. Um, my other article that I wrote about was our school spotlight on DeSoto High School. It's a school in Texas, one of the best Texas football schools that you can think of. I mean, they just have a ton of talent that's come from there, like AJ Green's from there, Von Miller's from there, and so on. And I mean, undefeated right now, top 5 in Texas, and just coming off of a state championship last year and still defending their title till this time right now.
I think for DeSoto, that was one of those schools that's that you're for sure going to see in at least not the championship, or you see them in the semifinals, or just playoffs in general. Just know you're going to see DeSoto on your
Oh
on
yeah, I
your.
mean, I think that they've gone to the semifinals most of the last like 6 years. I mean, first championship in 2016, and since then they've been a contender every single year, winning their second one last year, obviously. So they're not a team to mess with. I will say that they got a lot of good talent on that team. Yeah, was that the only other article you wrote this
Yeah.
week? All right, so next we can talk about some LSU football. You know, we had a great week this week. You know, it's always great when you score over 60 points and you let up 0. I mean, it is Army, but you got to take these wins to the best that you possibly can.
A win's a win.
A win is a win, and a win like this is not something you see very often in college. And I mean, you kind of see it a little bit, but you know when it happens, you're never going to be upset about it. You love a shutout and a good offensive scoring. I mean, two 100-yard receivers from Thomas and Neighbors. You can't ask for a lot better than that. And a lot of our backups getting a lot of good playing time this week, which is awesome to see. I mean, Nesmeyer, I think he played pretty well last year when we gave him the ball, but had 7 for 12, 90 yards and a touchdown. Great little backup stats right there. You have any thoughts of the game?
I mean, it was a great game. It's bad to say that we beat up on our our military, but hey, I mean, it's football.
It's
so
football. We don't look at them as military right there. We look at them as our opponent. We're gonna try to do the best every time, obviously.
One game that surprised me that was close was the Texas and U of H game, with Texas only winning by a touchdown. I know they're both Big 12 opponents, but you would expect a lot more from, I guess, I want to say a high-powered college, but it was surprising to see the score was kind of close.
And that was there was one upset in the week, right?
I think so. Let me see. Would you count the Iowa-Minnesota game as an upset?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm thinking of last week. I'm not sure.
Or the USC game.
Oh, yeah, USC did lose 2 weeks back to back, and as an LSU biased fan over here, we're kind of stoked about that. Let's get Jaden Daniels at Heisman, looks fantastic. Obviously, looking like still the number 1 offense in the league. Putting up over 250 yards and 3 touchdowns on 15 throwing attempts. That's just a great game that you can have. And we've been playing really well in offense, and our defense.
It's stepping up.
It is Army, but they did step up and have a great game. It's always a great game when your defense puts up 0 points. Allows 0 points. So hopefully we go into the bye, we fix more of our mental problems and get more of a rhythm going, and come into the week after and hopefully get a huge win.
A huge win. Going into Tuscaloosa, I can't wait. I'm excited right now. And the game's 2 weeks away.
I always love these games. These are the most anticipated games all year. Is LSU, Alabama. It's always a great rivalry game, and hopefully we upset them.
I think if we win, when we win against Bama, I don't want to even say if, when we win against Bama, I think that puts us in good standings to at least make the SEC championship.
Oh, 100%.
And I guess
obviously at that point you just have to take one win at a time, and hopefully you don't have any more mental mistakes, and everything kind of comes together. We'll take these 2 losses in the beginning of the year, but we'll improve from them and see how far we can go with that.
Do you think Caleb Williams should just sit out the rest of the year? No. I've been hearing couple people on the internet saying, "Oh, he should just sit out the rest of the year. There's no point in him playing. He's already number 1 pick." But it's football.
You could say last year. Bryce Young wasn't the number 1 pick for the entire time. It went kind of back and forth for a while. It's like, was it going to be C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young? Was Will Levis going to get in the mix? Which obviously that didn't happen. But, for a person who's also debating on maybe playing another year if he doesn't like the number 1 pick, I don't think he should sit out if that's even in his thought process of what he's going to do for the future. Obviously, you want to keep on playing, get more experience. Definitely a rough 2-game patch, though, and people are definitely looking at that. And, you can't stop right now after 2 bad games. You gotta end on a high note at least, I think.
At least leave on a win.
Yeah. But USC also is not going to want to bench Caleb Williams when they have him. That's the once in a lifetime talent for your team. You're not going to want to put him on the bench and let him sit. But obviously we'll see how he bounces back from that.
Even from a marketing standpoint, you don't want to sit your star player. I feel like if Caleb Williams is not playing, how many people are really going to the games?
Who's their backup? But I guess we can switch to the NFL now if you're ready.
Oh man, whoa, the Thursday night game. Well, how do you?
All right, we got to start with this. All right. we had one amazing drive. And,
Yeah.
You know, I don't know why we can't do that every time. It looks fantastic, but our offense seems to crumble, and it's now starting to look like the players in the offensive side are gonna get they're getting mad at each other. They're arguing. No one seems like they're on the right page. Everybody's kind of pointing fingers at someone else, but no one's ever taking the blame. It's just all around like does not seem like we have a good connection with anybody. And I mean, to put the cherry on top, Chris Olave Monday night got a ticket for going 35 overs. So now, you know, who knows what that's going to do to our team, if that's going to be something that's implemented in the future, if that's going to be something implemented this year. I mean, that's just another problem that the offense for the Saints is having. I mean, I will say though, I'm not going to talk down with the Jags. The Jags is a good football team. They've been doing a lot of things well together, but that was a game where, I mean, we had a chance to tie it up at the end of the game. We had a chance to win, and we just kind of threw it away.
Watching the game, I don't know what to say about your offense. I mean, you go
Inconsistent.
because it was multiple opportunities that y'all had to put up at least a touchdown with the. I think it was like the fumble that happened, and then y'all ended up punting, and then the punt where the muff punt with
And we end up getting
just a field goal.
And we also missed 2 field goals that game, leaving points just on the field, and you can't do that. Obviously, Blake Grupe's a rookie, but you know it's kind of aggravating when you have a kicker who's missed. I think he's tied for missing the most field goals in the season so far. So
I understand.
that's just well, how many were in the 49ers missed kick? Was it just the one? Game winner.
He missed the game winner. Then he missed. I think. That game he missed 2 that one game, and then he missed 1 last night.
But that's another rookie kicker. So obviously you hope it's just a learning period. But when you miss a ton of field goals, I mean, I don't know how much longer you can keep your job. I don't know when they finally give up on you or anything like that. I mean, the Saints, it seems like we have nothing to lose at this point. Might as well keep him for the experience and see if he can get better. Doesn't make sense to get a new kicker at this point. But yeah.
I mean, if you still look at it, y'all still in the race. I mean,
I mean, this is what's gonna happen. I'm calling it right now. We're gonna end 7-10. We're gonna be 1 game away from making the playoffs, and we're gonna get a mid-level pick. I mean, this is how the Saints go. We're never bad. We're just always in the mid, right away from the playoffs. You know, hopefully we can turn it around. I still have optimism, but you know, you got to start winning games, obviously.
Y'all defense. The defense is great. Watching the game, the defense played amazing. Like without the defense, I feel like the score would have been way more different.
100%.
But the defense kept y'all in the game, and I guess I don't know. Everything just clicked in the 4th quarter, but I feel like the offense, it shouldn't take to the 4th quarter to eventually put points on the board. I think that should start from the beginning.
I agree. I think the number one note that I learned from this game is we need to get Taysom involved more, especially in the red zone. 100%. I mean, obviously he had the rushing touchdown, but that should be, you know, 1st and goal. That should be our play every time. Like, everybody knows what we're running when we have Taysom on the field, but he still gets 5 yards of carry. Like, might as well throw him out there and see what he can do. Obviously, it's not working the other way.
I think the last play was it Monroe, the tight end?
Foster Monroe.
Yeah, Foster Monroe. I think that should have been Taysom Hill.
Catch him?
Yeah.
A lot of people were saying it should have been Jimmy Graham.
I forgot y'all even have Jimmy Graham because y'all don't use him as much as I'm gonna say he's old, but
I mean, I know he's old and everything. We've been using him in the red zone, but when he's on the field, we've been using him like over 60% of the time as a run play, a run blocker. Jimmy Graham, he's tall, he has hops, he was our, you know, touchdown god back in the early 2010s. It's like he has the ability to catch some touchdown passes, and that's another player I think we should utilize in the red zone. I mean, he knows what to do. He's a veteran. He can get that open space and hopefully get you a touchdown. But obviously, Foster Moreau, that's a rough drop. Especially he's a hometown kid from Jesuit, went to LSU, now on the Saints, dropping a game-winning touchdown like that. You know, that's definitely in his mental state right now. And I mean, hopefully he can bounce back too. And I mean, that was definitely a rough miss right there.
Yeah, those are the ones that keep you up at night, just dreaming like, damn, what if I should have caught that? But hopefully he gets another opportunity to make up for that. That was just a tough one. It was tough to watch. Just me just sitting there watching the game full out. They kept you in the game. I'll say that. The Saints,
our defense have kept us in a lot of games, and I mean, our offense is just. It's just there's not much to say anymore. It's the same thing every week, and we've seen it. It's been 2 months at this point, so at this point we just hope that it can improve. How about the 2 lost 49ers?
The game last night, it was rough to watch. I mean, just the defense just getting exposed. Really,
By no Justin Jefferson either. By rookie Jordan Addison. You see that touchdown? Actually, it started off with Ward getting the pick in the first by taking it from Addison, and then later on, I think it was in the second or the third, Addison goes up and Ward looks like he's about to get another pick, and Addison just strips it from him and runs in for the touchdown.
I think the play call, that play you're talking about, where Addison stripped it, I think that was a horrible play call by our defensive coordinator, because it's 10 seconds going into halftime and you call out an all-out blitz, man, and and you leave that to happen. I mean, if we're going into half, I think you should just have everybody just play back and just make the tackle.
Action, just make sure they stay in bounds.
At least minimize the chance for a touchdown.
Of course, yeah.
Because
the Vikings, who thought they were going to win? I mean, I sure didn't.
You let Kirk go off for 378 yards. I mean, obviously, something's got to change. Because back-to-back
Trent
losses.
Williams.
I mean, I think missing Trent, it was a factor, but it wasn't that big of a factor because Brock Purdy, I wouldn't say he didn't look as comfortable, because once you got all pro Trent, I mean, I felt like you could really look the other way. You was like, oh, Trent got this. But I think Trent not being there, I felt like that's like a little half a second that you don't have.
I feel like missing Devo might be more vital to the team. Not even in him getting 70 yards, but his presence on the field. It's another player that the defense has to look out for, because then you still have Ayuk.
Yeah.
There's somebody, Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, and Juszczyk. I mean, the list can go on forever. It's ridiculous.
Like that's a game that we're gonna want to have back, because that was a winnable game. I mean, we was favored by 7, and that was just a winnable game. I think that's the one we're gonna look back and say, yeah, we should have won that game.
So, how do you feel about Christian McCaffrey breaking a record for most games with a consecutive touchdown, 16 in a row?
I feel like he's the best running back ever. I mean, like I think I said last episode, McCaffrey being on the Panthers, I didn't really pay attention to him. I always knew he was. I always knew he was good, but him being on the 49ers, I'm like, man, is he a Hall of Famer? Like,
definitely a Hall of Famer. I'll definitely say that easily. He's so versatile. He can do whatever you need him to do on the field and get you those scores.
I think the people on the broadcast, he was saying if he would have played just strictly slot receiver, he would have been even as dangerous as him being running back, and that's just crazy with it.
I mean, give that man give the ball in the open space, he can do a lot with it. So definitely as a slot receiver, even though he's not the tallest, he can still find open space and get you yards. I can definitely see that. So who do you think right now are the top 3 teams in the league?
My top 3 teams, I'm gonna have to go with Chiefs at 1, Eagles at 2, and Ravens at 3.
Yeah, we're a little different. I still have your boys, my 49ers at 3, but I mean, I think if one more bad week happens, they're definitely gonna have to drop below 5. The Ravens are definitely up there. They looked impressive beating the Lions this week. I mean, just completely making the Lions look like fools. And I mean, people were saying it all year. Lamar's having a ridiculous season, MVP candidate right now. He should be at least. And week before when pretty sure they lost. I mean, there was just drops by everybody on the team. It wasn't Lamar's fault. I mean, there's over 6 drops in a game. It's hard when a lot of these drops are, touchdown catchable passes or passes that would have gone for touchdowns. So Lamar's been looking great out there. But I put Eagles at 1, Chiefs at 2. A little different than you, but I think they're pretty interchangeable right now. I could see the debate going both ways. I mean, Chiefs defense hasn't let up 20 points, I think, all season, which is very impressive. The last team to do that was obviously the Saints. Had to throw out some good news for us, but that's over now. But I mean, the Eagles, they just look fantastic, and adding a new piece and getting a safety. I mean, I don't know how they do it, but they have successfully traded for every great veteran. It seems like pennies and dimes, and their roster just gets more and more loaded. And I mean, Swift's a great add-on. A.J. Brown is doing historical numbers right now, tied with Calvin Johnson from 5 consecutive games with 125 yards. So, I mean, they're just explosive both ways. And, I mean, if the Chiefs and the Eagles play, that would be a fantastic game to watch.
Great game. Yeah.
Which, would be a repeat.
So who else do you have for, I guess, 4 through 10, I guess?
Well, for four, I didn't drop Miami that much. I still think they have one of the most explosive teams. So I did put Miami over the Ravens, but I can also see why either way. But I put Miami over because, I mean, the game was a one-possession game for the most part. And, I mean, they lost to, in my opinion, the number 1 team in the league. So I'm not going to drop them a ton for losing that. I will say, though, 2 losses in a row is pretty brutal. But, I mean, that team has so many weapons and so many pieces that I'm not super worried about them. I think they will definitely bounce back next week. And then I have the Ravens at 5, the Jags at 6, the Lions at 7, the Cowboys at 8, the Browns at 9, and I have the Bills all the way down to 10. I don't know what's going on with that team. It's starting to look really rough out there. I mean, Diggs is obviously still playing as a top caliber receiver, but I mean, just losing games that they should be winning, and I mean, losing games. I mean, the Saints beat the Patriots 34-0, and the Patriots just beat the Bills. So I mean, by that caliber,
y'all beat the Bills.
The Saints are better than the Bills, yeah. So maybe the Saints are actually number 10, but no, yeah, the Bills definitely need to work on some things because it's looking rusty for them right now.
Yeah, it's tough for them. I mean, I don't even have them in my top 10, really.
Who's the rest of your list?
I have the Niners at 4, just because just the 2 straight losses. I think if you want to be a great team, that can't happen, especially to the teams they lose to. You lose to a backup quarterback in the Browns. I understand the conditions, the weather is cold, rainy, windy, but still a backup quarterback that threw 2 interceptions. So he basically gave you the game away. And then you play primetime Kirk Cousins, and then I guess primetime Kirk, I guess he's a great player now, but they didn't have one of the best receivers in the league, so obviously had to take advantage of that.
Everybody thinks they're tanking too, so again, they thought it was a really easy game victory. I see what you're saying there.
And then at 5, I got the Jags. Obviously, you got Trevor Lawrence taking control of the offense. I mean, we saw last Thursday he came in and beat the Saints. I got the Lions at 6. I mean, even though they lost to the Ravens, I don't think it's that big of a loss because obviously Ravens are in the AFC. It's not like you got to see Lamar twice a year. I mean, the next time, hopefully, for the Lions, you see him in the Super Bowl or next season, so you don't really have to worry about Lamar that much. And so
it's just rough not scoring a touchdown in a game, and if you want to be in the top 10, I will say that's why they dropped a little bit for me, is the fact that they only scored 3 points. But obviously that is a really hard defense and a really hard offense to go against.
7, I got the Bengals. I think Joe Burrow's back. I mean, I can't go against Joe Burrow once he's healthy, and then I think they have a bye this week.
They had the bye last week.
Last week?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's why the Bengals, if they played last week and won, I probably would have put them in my top 10. They were going to be my honorable mention of teams to watch out for that I think is on the rise. I mean, very rough start to the season, but they look like they've gotten their stuff together and are producing wins. I mean, never count out Joe Burrow and that winning mentality that he has. He's definitely not someone to root against. And I mean, I think they're in right now. I put them probably at number 11, but I do think at the end of the season they will be in the top 7.
8, I got the Cowboys. I mean, they got a great defense. You can't doubt that. I think the only question is Dak, but I think when Dak plays comfortable, I think he could be. I wouldn't say he could be great, but he could be a winnable quarterback. I mean,
100%.
when he's not under duress, throwing interceptions, I think he could be a quarterback that can win you games.
I think that you need to utilize CeeDee Lamb more too, and Brandon Cooks. They have two great receivers who I think are not getting the ball enough in the games, and I think that's a reason why they are having such trouble. I think they do need to feed their top players.
9, I got the Dolphins.
You dropped them.
I had to drop them. I mean, if you really look at their schedule, the teams they beat up on combined 3 wins. I mean, even the team even though they put up 70 points, I mean, it's against the Broncos, and I don't think we think that highly of the Broncos. And then the 2 great teams they played, they got. I mean, the Bills they lost by I want to say 20 plus.
They got kind of embarrassed by the Bills.
And then Sunday night you saw that they played the Eagles. It wasn't like the same Dolphins. I mean, obviously they're gonna score, but it wasn't like the 70-point team Dolphins that we saw. So I think they have to win at least one of a game against a winning team. They can't just beat up on trash teams that are struggling. You gotta win a game against a good team to be at least ranked high. And then at the 10, I got Browns.
I think the Browns. I put Browns at the 9. I think they're a sneaky, really good team right now. They've proved it with one of the best defense in the leagues, and they're winning games right now with P.J. Walker. So just think about how the team's going to be when Deshaun Watson comes back. I mean, and I was thinking like maybe it's time, if you think Deshaun Watson's going to be out for a while, you pick up a player like Nick Foles. I think is still a free agent. Signing someone like that, Carson Wentz, someone you know who's a veteran who can just kind of be that chain mover for the next couple of weeks to help.
They're winning with P.J. Walker.
Yeah.
And then for my honorable mentions, I had the Seahawks at 11, Steelers at 12, and I had the Bills at 13. I mean, just I don't know what's going on with the Bills.
That's
I mean,
definitely rough.
If you look at the games they played, they barely beat the Giants off like a potential holding call.
Lose to the Patriots, which I mean, the Patriots, in my opinion, might be bottom 5 team in the league right now. They are not looking good on offense at all, and I mean.
And then you lose to the Jets, the Zach Wilson led Jets. I mean, I understand it was the first game of the season, but Zach Wilson. I mean, we wouldn't put him in the top tier of quarterbacks.
I don't even think you put him in the mid tier. You put him in that third category for sure. I mean, there's a reason they went and got Aaron Rodgers. They want him to obviously learn more, and now he's just thrown up the field. My other honorable mentions, by the way, were the Texans. I think the Texans are a team that, I mean, I don't know if this is definitely not their year or anything like that, but the great young core that they're putting together and the fact that they're 3-3 when everybody thought that they were going to be in the discussion for the number 1 pick in the draft. I mean, they're definitely proving a lot of people wrong, and that coaching staff has been really impressive this year. And then another honorable mention that I thought of was obviously the Seahawks too. They're just right under that cusp, I think, of the top 10, playing good football, and I don't know if they'll ever break the top 10, but they'll be right there, I think, the rest of the season for sure.
They're just
right there. They're just right there. They're that team that's really close. I mean, great talent with DK, Tyler Lockett, Kenneth Walker have a good defense right now. Geno Smith is not, he's not what he was last year, but he's still producing good numbers and everything. So they have the squad to win any game. It's just there's a lot of good teams out there right now. It's
just hard to compete in this league. I mean, there's a lot of good teams. I mean, just looking at really both sides, you got on the AFC, you got the Chiefs, the Bengals. Even just like looking at our list, you got the Chiefs, Bengals, Ravens, Jags, Dolphins. I'm like, that's a lot of teams to compete against. I mean, it's just they're just.
It's
I don't
just
know.
hard right now. Some teams are really good right now, and we'll see how the season goes. I'm predicting. I don't know. I think I'm calling it right now. If I had to pick, I think the 49ers are still going to find their way into the Super Bowl over the Eagles. I think it's going to be a great divisional matchup in the playoffs, and I think. I want to say Bengals, but that's super biased. I just love throwing out the Bengals, but I do think it's probably going to be the Chiefs again. I mean, the Chiefs are just that team. I mean, it's like the boring pick, but they are that team. It's just a really good team, and they're hard to beat. And their defense is now impressive, which I feel like in the past hasn't been a thing. So it's harder to beat them now with a better defense.
My pick. I mean, obviously, I got to go with the 49ers. I mean. I feel like they're one of the best teams still in the NFC, even though we suffered back-to-back losses. I think we could, once everybody's healthy, I think this team is unbeatable. Mm-hmm. And then I would have picked the Chiefs, but I feel like that's just
it's so boring.
It's so boring. So I'm gonna have to go with. I'm gonna go with the Ravens.
The Ravens. I was thinking the Ravens, but the Ravens, I just don't think the receiving core is fully there yet to be a championship caliber team. I mean, you have Rashawn Bateman, Zay Flowers, and Odell, and I mean, you obviously have Mark Andrews is a huge help, but then you have Gus Bus at running back, and I mean, Lamar is there. Lamar is playing phenomenally this year, but does he have fully the pieces they need to win a Super Bowl? I mean, we'll see.
The team I don't know. We might have to watch out for the Patriots and Dolphins game next Sunday. I don't know. Did they come off a win against the Bills? I don't know. And then we obviously saw what happened to the Dolphins against the Eagles. I think people are starting to figure them out.
You think?
Maybe. I mean, that's hard to say, but it's looking like teams are starting to slow them down. Oh, well, good teams. I wouldn't say all teams.
I don't think you could slow them down. You just got to get in their way. There's not slowing down the fastest team in the league. But with that being said, I think we're going to sign off of the Huddle, and hopefully you all have a great rest of y'all's week. This is Sean and
Demetrius. Oh, make sure to follow or look out for www.gridironfootballusa.com. And look out on our YouTube channel as well. It would be still Gridiron Football USA. And yeah.
And with that, have a great rest of y'all's week, and we'll see y'all next week.